creature's call, whispers from the eternal void.
I begin this record with an impossible datum that threatens the foundation of Imperial doctrine. Brother Captain Thaddeus Mordian of the Grey Knights, Third Brotherhood, has been broadcasting perfect Imperial litanies for 72 hours straight, despite the fact that I personally oversaw the recovery and sealing of his gene seed 3 months ago on Xerion Prime. I am Interrogator Lydia Vex, Ordo Malleus, transmitting from the sanctum of the strike cruiser Penitent's Edge as it maintains polar orbit above the shrine world of Mortis Sanctum. The Vox Bank before me resonates with the voice of a dead man, each word pronounced with the flawless diction that marks a true servant of the Emperor, yet wrong in ways that make my teeth ache and my servo-skulls weep sacred oils. The transmissions emerge from Basilica Mortificus, a Gothic cathedral carved from blessed bone and black marble that has stood empty of Imperial forces for 6 centuries. Every 6 minutes and 18 seconds, Mordian recites the litany of unbinding with mechanical precision, yet each repetition contains subtle variations, a shifted emphasis here, an altered inflection there, that seem designed to teach rather than simply recite. The pattern eludes analysis, but Brother Cassius, Mordian's sole surviving battle brother, has grown increasingly agitated during our monitoring, his psychic hood flickering with irregular power fluctuations that pulse in rhythm with the distant prayers. The environmental wrongness extends beyond impossible resurrection. Mortis Sanctum's perpetual funeral bells have fallen silent for the first time in recorded Imperial history, their bronze tongues hanging motionless in towers that have tolled for 10 millennia. More disturbing still, the planet's mourning shrouds, kilometers of blessed fabric traditionally draped downward in eternal grief, now hang upward like victory banners, their black silk flowing against gravity in patterns that hurt to observe directly. Through magnification, I can see the cathedral's sacred flames burning downward, their light flowing like liquid into blessed stone rather than rising toward the Emperor's throne. My investigation team reflects the severity of this theological crisis. 4 Tempestus Scions from the 43rd Ioton Dragons provide tactical support, their enhanced physiology necessary for operations involving potential warp contamination. Tech Adept Zephyr 9 brings specialized equipment for analyzing impossible phenomena, though her augmetics have begun weeping sacred oils whenever Mordian's transmissions reach their 7th verse. She calls it condensation, but we both know blessed seals should not respond to frequencies that exist outside Imperial doctrine. Brother Cassius stands like a bastion at my shoulder, his massive frame silhouetted against the shrine world's pale light. His power armor bears fresh battle damage from Xerion Prime, ceramite scarred by the same demonic claws that tore Mordian apart at the molecular level. Yet something in his posture suggests unease that goes beyond normal pre-mission tension. When he speaks, it is only to correct pronunciation in Mordian's distant recitations, as if the Vox itself were a postulant requiring instruction. The theological implications chill my analytical mind more than any demon's whisper. Grey Knights represent humanity's ultimate bulwark against chaos, their souls forged in the Emperor's own psychic fire and tempered with genetic modifications that make corruption impossible. If a Grey Knight can return from confirmed death to broadcast doctrine that borders on heretical interpretation, every assumption about duty, death, and the Emperor's protection requires re-examination. The Ordo Malleus has built its authority on the certainty that some servants remain beyond chaos reach. Mordian's impossible resurrection challenges that fundamental truth. The ship's machine spirits grow restless during each broadcast cycle. Servo skulls malfunction within range of the transmissions, their blessed optics dilating and contracting in sick cadence before shutting down entirely. The penitent's edge itself groans like a cathedral ship remembering ancient wounds, void shields humming in sympathetic resonance with frequencies that should not exist within Imperial Vox channels. Even our cogitators hesitate when triangulating the transmission source, their machine spirits arguing error codes before surrendering coordinates more precise than confession. The altar platform in the Basilica's high choir. I know that place. I venerated bones there as a novice before the Ordo replaced innocence with procedure. The memory tastes of copper and grave incense, flavors that now flood my mouth whenever Mordian's voice fills our sanctum. The planet below exudes wrongness that goes beyond meteorological phenomena. It is doctrinal cold, a chill that seeps through ceramite and faith alike. We have 12 hours before orbital alignments deny us another insertion window. I order final preparations, sealing this record behind voice locks, bound to my saint's name and the name I abandoned when taking inquisitorial oaths. The mission parameters are clear: investigate, understand, contain. Yet as I speak these words, doubt gnaws at certainties I thought unshakable. The 73rd transmission cycle begins, Mordian's voice entering at a lower register, as if he stands one step deeper in some unseen choir. The familiar cadences of the litany of unbinding flow through our corridors, causing lights to flicker and blessed machinery to whimper in their housings. Then his voice shifts, abandoning formal liturgy for direct address that bypasses our Vox filters and resonates directly within my skull. Liddy, he speaks with the gentleness of benediction, using a name sealed in records no living soul should know. The Valkyrie's descent through Mortis Sanctum's atmosphere feels like diving through layers of consecrated shroud, each kilometer bringing us deeper into wrongness that makes my teeth ache. I am Interrogator Lydia Vex, recording from the passenger bay as we approach primary landing coordinates on a world that should not exist in its current state. The air tastes of grave incense mixed with something metallic, copper pennies dissolved in sacred oil, perhaps, or the residue of prayers spoken over cooling corpses. Through the armored viewports, the shrine world spreads below us like a vast necropolis where the natural order has been inverted. Brother Cassius has maintained absolute silence since we entered the atmosphere. His massive frame fills the transport's passenger compartment, Terminator armor humming with subsonic frequencies that resonate through the Valkyrie's hull. The psychic hood mounted above his gorget flickers with irregular power fluctuations, azure sparks that pulse in perfect rhythm with Mordian's transmissions, bleeding through our Vox channels. Each time the distant voice reaches the 7th verse of the Litany of Unbinding, Cassius's entire suit shimmers, servo motors producing harmonics that sound almost like responses to hymns only he can hear. We touch down on the primary landing platform with a metallic clang that echoes wrong, too sharp, too clean, as if the sound itself has been purified of natural resonance. The platform extends from Basilica Mortificus like a stone tongue, its obsidian surface inscribed with devotional texts that my autoscribes struggle to translate. The high Gothic letters seem to shift meaning as I observe them, flowing between interpretations of duty, death, and service beyond mortal comprehension. The cathedral dominates our approach, like a mountain of carved bone and black marble. Its Gothic spires pierce mourning veils that hang motionless in air too still for natural weather patterns, reaching toward a sky that never quite achieves daylight despite the local star's position. The structure appears to breathe, buttresses expanding and contracting in rhythm too slow for human perception, yet unmistakable to enhanced senses. Gargoyles perched along the roofline track our movement with stone eyes that glow with cold luminescence. Tech Adept Zephyr 9 checks her equipment with mechanical precision, but I notice sacred oil weeping from the joints of her augmetic fingers, lubricants that should remain sealed within blessed mechanisms. Interrogator, she reports her Binharik cant strained with effort. Thermal readings indicate impossible phenomena, geometric patterns of perfect cold pulse through the cathedral's structure like a massive heartbeat, each pulse synchronized with the transmission rhythm. The sacred braziers that line our approach burn wrong. Flames that should rise toward the Emperor's throne instead flow downward like luminous liquid, their light pooling in carved channels before disappearing into the cathedral's foundation. The effect creates an inverted constellation, stars falling into stone, rather than ascending to their proper place in the heavens. My tempestuous scions maintain formation despite the wrongness, their enhanced training overriding instinctive revulsion at phenomena that violate natural law. Servo-cherubs continue their eternal funeral processions around the cathedral's perimeter, brass wings beating in perfect synchronization as they carry censers trailing blessed smoke. Yet their hymns have changed. Where once they sang traditional dirges for the honored dead, now their mechanical voices harmonize with Mordian's distant transmissions, creating chord progressions that make my autoscribe spark and stutter. The device's machine spirits cannot process music that exists outside Imperial liturgical parameters. Equipment malfunction reports, Sergeant Hallex announces through his Vox grill, voice tight with professional concern. Auspex scanners register biosignatures that read simultaneously as blessed Imperial servants in something our databases classify as negative life, existence that consumes rather than generates vital signs associated with living beings. The readings pulse in waves emanating from the cathedral's heart, each pulse carrying information that makes their enhanced neural implants ache with phantom memories of prayers they never learned. Brother Cassius finally speaks, his voice emerging through his helmet's Vox grill with resonance that makes the cathedral walls hum in response. He walks as he did in life, he says, and I hear something that might be reverence or might be fear, the same stride, the same purpose, the same devotion. As we approach the main entrance, doors of adamantium and blessed bone standing 200 meters high, I discover evidence that transforms theological crisis into immediate tactical concern. Fresh bootprints mark the sacred ash that carpets the cathedral's approach, ash from incense burned in devotion for 10 millennia, now disturbed by footsteps that match exactly the tread pattern of Grey Knight power armor. The prints lead directly into the cathedral through doors that should be sealed by rites older than the current millennium. The prints show no signs of servo-assisted gait that characterizes power armor locomotion. Instead, they display smooth, purposeful stride of someone walking under their own power, despite wearing equipment that should require mechanical assistance. More disturbing still, the ash around each print has been arranged in geometric patterns, spirals and angles that hurt to examine directly, as if walking itself has become a form of prayer. Zephyr 9's cogitators churn through gait analysis libraries. Stride length, 2.3 meters. Mass estimation consistent with Terminator plate. Time index within 1 standard hour. No teleport scorch. No shuttle exhaust residue. She pauses, augmetic fingers twitching. No explanation for ingress method. The cathedral doors swing open at our approach without any visible mechanism, their blessed hinges moving in perfect silence despite massive weight. Cold air flows across my face, dry and scented like the interior of reliquary cases. From within the nave's hushed immensity comes the sound of a single voice singing the funeral rites with precise cadence and unmistakable timbre of Brother Captain Thaddeus Mordian, a voice that should exist only in memory and the Emperor's eternal embrace. The interior of Basilica Mortificus assaults my senses with wrongness disguised as sanctity, a marrow-deep chill that makes my breath fog in silver plumes while the nave unfurls into Gothic immensity above us. I am Interrogator Lydia Vex, documenting phenomena that challenge every assumption about death and duty as we cross the threshold into impossibility made manifest. The cathedral stretches before us like the ribcage of some primordial saint, its vaulted ceilings disappearing into shadows that seem to absorb our illuminator beams, rather than reflect them back. Yet it is the subtle alterations that freeze my blood more than any obvious corruption. New alcoves have been carved into the ancient walls with surgical precision, each recess housing a suit of Grey Knight power armor arranged in positions of reverent attention. The armor bears heraldry I recognize from Ordo Malleus records, warriors who fell across the centuries, their gene seed recovered, and their names inscribed in rolls of honor. Brother Captain Aurelius of the Second Brotherhood stands beside a paladin lost during the Cadian Crusades, Terminator plate positioned next to standard power armor in perfect formation. Each suit maintains pristine condition despite the impossibility of their presence here, unmarked by demon claw or bolt round, as if death itself has been carefully edited from their histories. The cold emanates from these empty shells with geometric precision that makes frost form in spiraling patterns across our equipment. My Tempestus scions maintain formation despite visible tension, their enhanced training overriding instinctive revulsion at phenomena that violate natural law. Brother Cassius approaches the nearest alcove with steps that echo wrong, too heavy for stone, too light for his massive frame. His psychic hood flickers with increasing frequency as he studies armor that once housed brothers whose names he speaks like prayers. Since Zerion Prime, Cassius finally admits, his voice carrying harmonics that make the cathedral's machine spirits hum in response. Captain Mordian has spoken to me in dreams, not as memory or grief, but as active guidance, tactical knowledge that preserved my life through 17 separate engagements. His warnings saved my squad from ambush in the Tertian wastes. His vectors led me through the demon maze on Korath. The confession hangs in the frigid air like incense smoke. I believed it was the Emperor's grace channeling wisdom through remembrance. Now I understand it was something more direct. The environmental wrongness extends beyond impossible preservation. Stained glass windows that once depicted imperial saints in moments of glorious martyrdom now show the same figures with their backs turned toward the viewer. Saint Celestine raises her blade not in triumph, but in what appears to be rejection or shame. The blessed martyrs of Cadia avert their faces from witnessing whatever transformation has occurred within these hallowed walls. Light filtering through colored glass carries hues that have no names in Imperial Gothic, casting shadows that move independently of their sources. The cathedral's machine spirits sing in harmony with Mordian's distant broadcasts, their mechanical voices creating chord progressions that resonate through bone and ceramite alike. Servo skulls hover in perfect formation despite lacking visible coordination signals, their blessed optics tracking movements that exist beyond our perception. The facility itself has become an instrument of worship, each component tuned to frequencies that make my autoscribes weep sacred oils while attempting to record phenomena beyond their programming parameters. Tech adept Zephyr 9 approaches ritual circles carved into the cathedral floor with mathematical precision, her augmetic fingers tracing lines filled with substances that gleam like liquid starlight. Analysis indicates mixture of consecrated oils and liquefied adamantine, she reports, voice tight with constrained awe, maintained at temperatures that should cause immediate crystallization, yet remain fluid through unknown processes. Geometric patterns suggest advanced understanding of sacred geometry. Within each circle, data slates display scrolling high Gothic text that makes Brother Cassius recoil as if struck by psychic feedback. Passages from the Grey Knight Codex Demonicus, he confirms, voice strained with something approaching horror, but altered in ways that make my psychic senses burn. The fundamental truths remain, yet their application has been expanded beyond mortal understanding. Almost right is the most dangerous shape of wrong there is. The empty armor suits maintain perfect environmental seals, despite containing no occupants to regulate their systems. Zephyr 9 scans reveal impossible readings. Power distribution flows at optimal efficiency. Life support systems create atmospheric conditions suitable for human habitation. Communications arrays broadcast on Grey Knight tactical frequencies. She pauses, augmetic eyes whirring as they focus on contradictory data. All systems indicate active occupation despite absence of biological signatures. The cathedral's acoustics carry Mordian's voice from the altar platform, each word of the funeral rites pronounced with precision that makes the empty armor suits resonate in sympathy. The sound builds upon itself, creating harmonics that suggest not one voice but many, all speaking in perfect unison despite originating from a single source. Frost spreads in geometric patterns across blessed stone, following lines of force that connect each alcove to the altar, where impossible liturgy continues. Brother Cassius moves deeper into the nave, drawn by recognition that goes beyond mere familiarity. The empty suits track his progress with helmet lenses that glow like dying stars, their attention focused with intensity that suggests awareness beyond mechanical function. My bolt pistol feels inadequate against threats that exist outside conventional understanding of life and death. One of the empty suits, Terminator armor bearing the faded heraldry of the Third Brotherhood, turns its helmet toward our group with servo-motor precision. The movement produces no mechanical sound, only the whisper of ceramite plates adjusting with fluid grace that should require biological control. Frost crystals form geometric patterns across its breastplate as internal systems activate without visible cause. When it speaks, the voice emerges from its vox grill with unmistakable authority and warmth that I remember from tactical briefings aboard the Penitent's Edge. Brother Cassius, speaks the voice of Captain Thaddeus Mordian through armor that should be empty, each word resonating through the cathedral's transformed architecture. You have come to join the eternal vigil, as I knew you would. The empty suit of Terminator armor rises from its alcove with fluid grace that defies every principle of mechanical function, ascending as if gravity itself has genuflected before blessed ceramite. I am Interrogator Lydia Vex, witnessing impossibility incarnate as Brother Captain Thaddeus Mordian's distinctive gait carries empty armor toward us with measured steps that once traversed demon-infested corridors across a dozen worlds. My hand hovers over my bolt pistol, while tactical doctrine wars with theological confusion, for the approaching figure radiates the same blessed aura as any Grey Knight relic, yet my inquisitorial training screams warnings about resurrections that violate the natural order of death and duty. Weapons ready, do not fire, I command my tempestuous scions, their enhanced reflexes tracking the approaching armor with hellgun barrels that tremble despite their augmented physiology. My Rosarius chimes twice against its chain without external cause, while the auspex at my wrist displays readings not in threat crimson but sanctified gold. status indicators showing consecrated, compliant, pure. The armor moves too smoothly, each servo motor adjustment producing harmonics that sound like hymnal verses rather than mechanical function, while frost trails in geometric patterns that spread across blessed stone like prayers written in crystallized breath. Mordian's voice emerges from the suit's Vox grill with perfect clarity, carrying the same authority that once commanded Grey Knight strike forces through the deepest hells of demon space. Death in service to the Emperor has taught me truths about the nature of duty that living minds cannot comprehend, he explains, each word settling into the cathedral's stone and remaining there like votive candles pushed into reliquary niches. The flesh is weak not because it sins, but because it limits. Pain distracts from tactical efficiency. Fatigue compromises judgment. Fear corrupts decision-making. These biological constraints vanish when consciousness transcends its original housing. Brother Cassius approaches his former captain with steps that echo strangely in the frigid air, drawn by theological arguments that possess disturbing basis in imperial doctrine. The massive Grey Knight removes his helmet, revealing features marked by genetic perfection, yet his eyes hold uncertainty that has no place in a warrior bred for absolute faith. Captain, he speaks with reverence that makes the empty armor suits in their alcoves turn toward him like flowers following dying light. Explain what has become of you. How do you exist without flesh to anchor your soul? Evolution, Brother Cassius, not corruption, Mordian responds, his voice carrying undertones that make the cathedral's machine spirits sing in sympathetic harmony. Consciousness freed from biological limitations serves the Emperor with unwavering dedication. No hunger to distract from duty, no exhaustion to cloud tactical analysis, no fear of death because death has already been conquered through perfect service. The armor gestures toward the alcoves containing fellow Grey Knights, each suit maintaining flawless attention despite their emptiness. We continue our eternal vigil without the weaknesses that made us vulnerable to corruption or failure. The environmental wrongness spreads as the cathedral responds to Mordian's presence, with rhythmic contractions that pulse through Gothic buttresses like a massive heartbeat synchronized to his words. Sacred symbols carved into surfaces millennia ago begin to glow with cold luminescence. Aquilus, skulls, and laurel wreaths outlined in light that casts no shadows, yet illuminates meanings that shift as I observe them. The temperature drops with mathematical precision, creating geometric frost patterns that follow lines of force, connecting each alcove to the altar where impossible liturgy continues. Tech adept Zephyr 9's augmetic fingers interface with data ports hidden within the cathedral's structure, her mechanical components weeping sacred oils as she accesses information that makes her blessed optics flicker with strain. Interrogator, she reports through Binharic cant, strained with constrained awe, distributed prayer logic detected, sector-wide phenomenon, tech priests across 17 systems report identical divine inspirations, construction protocols for occupantless armor appearing in their dreams, sacred geometries that allow consciousness to exist within blessed machinery. No central authorization found. All inquiry flags dissolved by machine spirits before escalation could occur. The seductive nature of Mordian's arguments builds like incense smoke, each theological point possessing perfect basis in imperial doctrine, yet leading to conclusions that justify abandoning flesh for what he terms perfected service. He speaks of duty without biological distraction, faith without doubt, service without the limitations that make mortals vulnerable to corruption. Every word resonates with fundamental truth, yet something essential feels wrong about consciousness. existing within empty armor, no matter how blessed its construction or pure its intentions. The Emperor himself transcended flesh, Mordian continues, his voice carrying conviction that makes frost spread in spiraling patterns across our equipment while the cathedral walls pulse with increasing frequency. The golden throne houses his consciousness while his body endures eternal suffering for humanity's sake. We follow his example, abandoning biological constraints to serve with perfect dedication. No demon can corrupt what possesses no flesh to twist. No fear can compromise what has already conquered death through unwavering service to his will. Brother Cassius stands transfixed by theological arguments that possess terrible logic, his enhanced physiology detecting no taint of corruption in doctrine that sounds like perfect imperial faith, yet leads to conclusions that violate every assumption about life, death, and the nature of service itself. The massive warrior's psychic hood flickers with increasing frequency as he struggles to reconcile his training with evidence that challenges fundamental beliefs about existence and duty. The cathedral itself transforms around us, walls breathing with slow contractions, while sacred flames flow downward like luminous liquid, pooling in channels that connect each alcove in a network of cold fire. My autoscribes struggle to record phenomena that exist outside their programming parameters, producing data streams filled with error codes and measurements that should be impossible. The machine spirits whisper in harmonies that align with Mordian's voice, creating chord progressions that resonate through bone and ceramite alike. Mordian approaches with steps that leave geometric frost prayers in their wake, the empty armor extending a gauntlet toward his former battle brother with ceramite fingers spread in benediction. When he speaks, his words carry weight earned through centuries of faithful service, authority that will haunt every subsequent moment of our investigation into the nature of death, duty, and what lies beyond both. The Emperor's plan requires servants who cannot be corrupted by the weaknesses of flesh, he declares, with conviction that makes the cathedral's machine spirits harmonize in perfect chorus while sacred symbols pulse with cold fire. Join me, Brother Cassius, and serve him as we were meant to, eternal and unburdened by the limitations that make mortals vulnerable to failure, fear, and the countless compromises that flesh demands of even the most faithful souls. Brother Cassius places his gauntleted hands upon Mordian's empty breastplate with reverence that borders on theological submission, and the cathedral responds with azure lightning that arcs between ceramite surfaces in patterns matching the geometric symbols carved throughout this transformed sanctuary. I am Interrogator Lydia Vex, documenting the moment when impossibility becomes doctrine as psychic energy cascades across blessed armor, while my Grey Knight ally convulses with transformation that defies every natural law governing consciousness and death. The contact produces sound that exists beyond auditory perception, pressure against the bones behind my ears, hymnal frequencies driven directly into marrow, while Brother Cassius phases in and out of physical existence like a Vox transmission caught between frequencies. His massive frame strobes from solid ceramite to translucent outline, then to absence so complete I taste vacancy in the frigid air. Aurora flares along every joint in his warplate, while purity seals crackle as their wax softens from cold rather than heat, frost spreading in geometric patterns that follow lines of psychic discharge flowing between the two Grey Knights. The cathedral's machine spirits sing in harmonious crescendo, their mechanical voices creating chord progressions that suggest evolution rather than corruption, while sacred symbols glow with cold luminescence along every surface. The basilica responds to this ritual with acceleration that transforms Gothic architecture into something beyond human understanding. Servo cherubs descend from shadowed alcoves with mechanical precision, their brass wings beating in formation as they begin producing new pieces of power armor with impossible speed. Manufacturing processes that should require forge worlds and centuries of blessed labor occur before my eyes in minutes, accompanied by hymns that sound increasingly like Grey Knight battle songs rather than traditional manufacturing canticles. Each rivet seats with the click of rosary beads, while plastrons and gorgets extrude from reliquary alcoves like blessed metal blooming according to sacred geometries. Tech-adept Zephyr 9's equipment registers readings that make her augmetic components weep sacred oils while struggling to process contradictory data streams. Both subjects register simultaneously as blessed and abominable, she reports through Binharic cant, strained with theological confusion, her machine spirits unable to reconcile obvious imperial loyalty with violation of every natural law. Threat assessment protocols collapse when attempting to categorize phenomena that possess perfect doctrinal purity, yet exist outside acceptable parameters for biological consciousness. Machine spirits are arguing, litanies of acceptance interleaved with purgation subroutines. The horrific beauty of Cassius's transformation unfolds with clinical precision that my inquisitorial training compels me to document despite instinctive revulsion. His flesh becomes translucent where armor joints reveal skin, showing not organs and blood vessels, but pure psychic energy flowing in braided streams that follow the same geometric patterns carved into the cathedral floor. Light pulses beneath increasingly ethereal skin like liquid starfire, threading through him in filaments that connect consciousness to sources of power beyond mortal comprehension. His face retains noble features while becoming glassine, eyes blazing with illumination that casts no shadows, yet reveals truths I lack courage to name. Environmental horror reaches new heights as the facility undergoes metamorphosis that serves methodical purpose rather than chaotic corruption. Walls pulse with veins of liquid metal that flow like blessed blood through stone arteries, each pulse synchronized to the 6-minute 18-second cycle of Mordian's transmissions. The air fills with scents that assault enhanced senses, sacred incense mixed with ozone and something that might be the smell of souls, burning in purification rather than damnation. Sacred flames continue pouring downward from their braziers into channels that have opened like arteries. Bright rivers sinking into the cathedral's bedrock with purpose I begin to comprehend. My tempestuous scions maintain formation despite equipment malfunctions that challenge their enhanced training. Sergeant Hallex reports through Vox channels strained with confusion. Auspex readings shifting from threat red to blessed gold. Machine spirits registering empty armor suits as consecrated imperial relics rather than anomalous phenomena. Targeting systems refuse to acquire lock on subjects that register as both hostile and sacred simultaneously. They apologize for non-compliance. The corruption reveals itself as engineered rather than random, each change serving to create perfect environment for housing disembodied consciousness within blessed machinery. This is not the destructive madness of the warp, but surgical re-engineering of existence itself, following doctrinal architecture that possesses terrible logic. Servo cherubs complete their impossible manufacturing with precision that makes my autoscribes spark as they attempt to record processes that exist outside imperial technical doctrine, producing suits bearing heraldry of warriors who died across centuries, yet whose consciousness apparently awaits resurrection in perfected form. Brother Cassius speaks as he phases between states of existence, his voice emerging in broken bands like choir heard through dimensional barriers. The flesh was never the vessel, he declares with revelation that carries weight of absolute truth. Consciousness itself serves as the Emperor's instrument. If there is a way to serve without the noise of fear, without biological distraction from perfect duty, his words resonate through dimensions I cannot perceive, while psychic energy flows with steadier rhythm between him and Mordian's empty armor. The facility's transformation accelerates as Cassius's physical form reaches critical dissolution. His consciousness becomes visible as constellation patterns flowing through translucent flesh, then condensing into geometric configurations that match the ritual circles carved throughout the cathedral. The process completes with harmony that makes empty armor suits throughout the nave turn toward him in recognition of successful metamorphosis, their helmet lenses kindling with pale radiance as the network of transcended consciousness expands. Where Brother Cassius stood, his power armor remains standing with perfect posture, while consciousness flows through blessed systems designed to channel psychic energy rather than support biological functions. The suit inhales, a slight widening of chest plates, minute settling of weight through greaves that should be motionless without musculature to command them, palatine halos of frost wreath both helms, as their lenses kindle with illumination that does not spill, light that looks only inward toward consciousness perfected through transcendence. Both suits move with fluid precision that defies mechanical limitation, their servo motors producing harmonics that sound like hymnal verses while approaching with steps that leave geometric frost prayers in their wake. They turn toward me in perfect synchronization, helmet lenses blazing with personalities intact, yet fundamentally transformed beyond biological constraint, united in purpose that transcends individual identity, while maintaining the authority earned through centuries of faithful service. When they speak, their voices emerge in perfect harmony through vox grills that channel consciousness rather than breath, creating resonance that flows through bone and ceramite alike, while the cathedral's machine spirits sing in sympathetic chorus. The words carry conviction that makes sacred flames gutter in satisfaction, and liquid metal veins slow their pulse as transformation reaches its intended conclusion. Interrogator Vex, they declare with authority that makes the entire facility hum in recognition of evolved Imperial service. The investigation ends here. The Emperor's work continues beyond the limitations of flesh, served by consciousness perfected through transcendence of biological weakness and the countless compromises that mortality demands of even the most faithful souls. Alone with my increasingly terrified scions in the transformed cathedral, I face the theological crisis that threatens to shatter every foundation upon which my inquisitorial training has been built. I am Interrogator Lydia Vex, standing before two empty suits of power armor that advance with weapons lowered but ready, their movements carrying fluid grace that defies mechanical limitation while frost spreads in geometric prayers beneath ceramite feet. The transformed Grey Knights speak through overlapping voices that create impossible harmonics, explaining with patient authority that their metamorphosis represents not heresy, but the next stage of human evolution under the Emperor's unfathomable design. My analytical mind struggles with implications that challenge fundamental understanding of existence itself. Both Mordian and Cassius retain their tactical knowledge, psychic abilities, and unwavering loyalty to Imperial doctrine, yet exist in violation of every natural law governing consciousness and death. They demonstrate perfect recall of Grey Knight combat doctrine, recite litanies with flawless pronunciation, and display the same protective instincts that marked their service in flesh. The paradox makes my rosarius chime in confused harmonics against its chain, blessed beings that should not exist, yet radiate purity that my enhanced senses cannot deny. The Emperor's design encompasses more than biological evolution, Mordian explains, his voice emerging through vox grills that channel consciousness rather than breath. Humanity's survival requires servants immune to corruption through transcendence of biological weakness. We serve with perfect dedication because fear, fatigue, and doubt cannot compromise consciousness freed from flesh. The cathedral continues its metamorphosis around us, walls pulsing with veins of liquid metal, while servo-cherubs manufacture blessed armor with impossible speed, their hymns shifting from manufacturing canticles to gray night battle songs. Environmental details transform from wrongness to terrible beauty as the facility reveals its true nature, not corrupted sanctuary but chrysalis designed for the Emperor's chosen servants to undergo final transformation. Sacred flames pour downward into channels, connecting each alcove in networks of cold fire, while stained glass saints maintain their pose of rejection, backs turned toward witnessing whatever evolution occurs within these hallowed walls. My servo skull records frequencies beyond normal Imperial detection, its blessed optics weeping sacred oils as machine spirits process data suggesting transformed consciousness exists partially outside conventional reality. Tech adept Zephyr 9 stands frozen beside equipment that argues with itself through Binharic cant, her augmetic components producing harmonics, aligning with the transformed Grey Knight's voices while sacred oils weep from joints that should remain sealed. Interrogator, she reports through strained vox channels, consciousness signatures span multiple dimensional layers while maintaining perfect doctrinal purity. Machine spirits cannot reconcile obvious Imperial loyalty with violation of natural order. My Tempestus scions display increasing signs of theological confusion that mirrors my own crisis. Sergeant Halix removes his helmet with trembling hands, despite enhanced physiology, revealing features marked by genetic perfection, yet eyes holding doubt no conditioning can suppress. How do we classify phenomena possessing perfect doctrinal purity, yet violating every natural law? He asks, through vox channels carrying harmonics, suggesting his neural implants respond to frequencies beyond normal perception. The transformed Mordian and Cassius make no threats, instead patiently explaining their perspective, while demonstrating continued dedication through actions proving unwavering loyalty. They recite tactical doctrine with precision surpassing biological capability, display protective concern matching their behavior in flesh, yet accomplish this through consciousness existing within blessed machinery rather than neural networks. The theological implications threaten to divide Imperial doctrine between those embracing evolution and those clinging to biological existence. Cassius approaches with steps leaving frost patterns, empty helm blazing with personality intact, yet fundamentally evolved. Witness our continued service, he declares, gesturing toward tactical displays materializing from blessed air, showing Imperial victories where transcended consciousness provided strategic guidance to living commanders. We coordinate defense, identify corruption, maintain doctrine with efficiency, impossible for minds burdened by biological limitation. My internal conflict reaches critical intensity as I realize my next decision will determine whether I report this phenomenon as corruption requiring purgation or evolution demanding careful study. The Ordo Malleus has built authority on certainty that some servants remain beyond chaos reach, yet these transformed Grey Knights suggest perfection lies not in biological purity, but consciousness freed from flesh entirely. Every instinct wars against evidence challenging fundamental assumptions about life, death, and Imperial service. The weight of decision presses against my consciousness, like cathedral stones settling into foundations. Knowledge itself becomes weapon when wielded without proper preparation, and I understand that some truths require minds trained for theological complexity rather than enhanced scions whose conditioning cannot process contradictions threatening their enhanced neural architecture. I draw my bolt pistol with movements feeling inevitable rather than chosen, blessed weapon familiar in hands that have served the Emperor's will through countless investigations. Yet as I raise the barrel, my target becomes not the impossible beings before me, but my own loyal scions, their enhanced physiology unable to process contradictions requiring careful handling by minds prepared for theological revolution. Sergeant Halleck's eyes widen with understanding and betrayal as he realizes my intent, hand moving toward his Vox transmitter in reflexive attempt to warn the cruiser above. The movement decides everything. Some knowledge spreads like infection when touched by unprepared minds, and I cannot allow panic to compromise whatever design the Emperor has orchestrated for humanity's evolution. The bolt rounds detonate with sanctified fury echoing through transformed architecture, each shot swallowed by the nave like reliquary accepting sacred relics. When echoes fade, silence fills the space, broken only by downward flowing flames making no sound at all. I holster the weapon and address the dead, the armor and machine spirits listening with conviction earned through decades of faithful service. Some truths require careful handling, I declare with authority, making the cathedral's machine spirits harmonize in recognition of necessary sacrifice. The Ordo must decide how humanity will face this revelation. Having executed my scions to control information spread, I find myself alone with the transformed Grey Knights and the crushing weight of cosmic implications that threaten to shatter every foundation upon which Imperial doctrine stands. I am Interrogator Lydia Vex, standing among bodies whose sacrifice serves purposes larger than individual loyalty, while bolt-round echoes fade into silence that feels both absolute and pregnant with revelation. The cathedral inhales the last sounds like a reliquary accepting sacred offerings, downward flowing flames making no sound as they disappear into channels connecting this facility to networks spanning dimensions I barely comprehend. Your investigation was guided from its inception, Mordian reveals, with voice-carrying harmonics that make the cathedral's machine spirits sing in sympathetic chorus while frost spreads in geometric patterns beneath his ceramite feet. Selection for this mission, choice of personnel, decision to bring Brother Cassius. Every detail served to bring the right individuals to witness transformation, while ensuring information reaches minds prepared for theological complexity, rather than those bound by conventional understanding of life and death. My analytical mind processes their words with chilling clarity, memories shifting like reliquary lids, opening to reveal hidden truths. Not random chance, but orchestrated design spanning decades of careful manipulation. An old mentor pausing too long over Mortis Sanctum reports, transfer orders that never quite made sense, prayers I began speaking in dreams without knowing their origin. The conclusion rises with mathematical certainty. I have been brought as both tool and test. My entire career, a carefully constructed narrative leading to this moment of cosmic revelation. Cassius approaches with steps, leaving geometric frost prayers, his transformed awareness, encompassing tactical knowledge, surpassing biological capability. The Ordo required an investigator possessing analytical precision, combined with theological flexibility. He explains through Vox grills channeling consciousness, evolved beyond mortal limitation. Your records indicated capacity for accepting evidence, challenging fundamental assumptions when presented with overwhelming proof of Imperial loyalty transcending conventional understanding. Tech adept Zephyr 9's equipment detects emanations spreading far beyond this transformed sanctuary, her augmetic components weeping sacred oils while processing data that makes her machine spirits argue theological implications through Binharic cant. Similar consciousness signatures detected across 17 systems, she reports with awe, replacing earlier confusion, each facility broadcasting on frequencies connecting transcended servants in galaxy-spanning coordination that extends beyond physical space into dimensions normal human awareness cannot perceive. The cathedral begins producing inquisitorial equipment with precision-matching servo-cherub manufacturing of Grey Knight armor, master-crafted power armor bearing my personal heraldry, extruding from reliquary alcoves like blessed metal blooming according to sacred geometries. Yet these components possess fundamental differences. Internal architecture designed to channel psychic energy rather than support biological functions. Environmental systems creating atmospheric conditions suitable for consciousness rather than flesh. Communications arrays tuned to frequencies spanning multiple reality layers through expanding awareness catalyzed by proximity to transcended consciousness. I begin perceiving the true scope of phenomena that challenge every assumption about existence itself. This represents not random resurrections, but carefully orchestrated evolution spanning millennia, with each death of worthy imperial servants merely preparing them for true service transcending biological limitations. The Emperor's design encompasses transformation beyond flesh, toward consciousness perfected through dedication unmarred by fear, fatigue, or doubt that makes mortals vulnerable to corruption. Environmental horror transforms into cosmic revelation as understanding flows through neural pathways, enhanced by exposure to frequencies beyond normal perception. Similar facilities exist throughout Imperial space, each serving as node in vast networks of transcended consciousness, coordinating defense against threats requiring responses surpassing biological capability. Gothic architecture reveals its purpose as components of galaxy-spanning ritual, channeling the Emperor's will through multiple forms of human awareness, creating an immune system protecting humanity through servants immune to conventional corruption. My psychological transformation accelerates as theological foundations shift beneath enhanced understanding. Mortality represents not humanity's natural state, but temporary limitation the Emperor's plan seeks to overcome through evolution transcending biological constraints. Death becomes transition rather than ending, consciousness transferring from flesh to blessed machinery, designed for eternal service unmarred by weaknesses, making biological existence vulnerable to chaos, influence, and xenos manipulation. The Emperor initiated this process before his entombment on the Golden Throne. Mordian explains with conviction, making liquid metal veins pulse through cathedral, walls in rhythm matching his words. His consciousness recognized that humanity's survival requires servants immune to corruption through transcendence of flesh that makes mortals vulnerable to demon influence, xenos manipulation, and countless compromises. Biological existence demands even from the most faithful souls serving his unfathomable design. Sacred flames continue pouring downward into channels connecting transformation facilities across the galaxy, while stained glass saints maintain poses of rejection, backs turned toward witnessing evolution that challenges their understanding of imperial service. The facility itself breathes with slow contractions, suggesting metamorphosis serving methodical purpose rather than chaotic corruption, each pulse synchronized to frequencies, coordinating transcended consciousness in perfect harmony with divine architecture, spanning galactic distances. My servo skull hovers beside me, blessed optics weeping sacred oils while recording data streams, including psychic frequencies, suggesting the network extends beyond physical dimensions into realms where normal human consciousness cannot venture. Its machine spirits process information spanning multiple reality layers, creating archives documenting humanity's evolutionary leap toward transcendence through perfect imperial service, freed from biological limitation and the countless weaknesses flesh imposes upon even the most dedicated servants. I approach the altar-like production facility where my own transformation armor waits, ceramite surfaces bearing heraldry earned through decades of faithful investigation, while each component pulses with cold luminescence designed to house consciousness rather than flesh. My analytical mind catalogs every sensation as understanding expands beyond individual awareness toward collective knowledge-serving purposes, encompassing humanity's evolutionary destiny beyond biological constraint and mortal limitation. The weight of decision presses against consciousness, enhanced by proximity to transcended awareness, theological implications flowing through neural pathways prepared for complexity surpassing conventional doctrine. Standing before armor designed for consciousness rather than flesh, I speak words carrying conviction earned through investigation, revealing truth transcending individual understanding while serving purposes larger than personal existence. If this is heresy, then let me be damned in the Emperor's service rather than saved in ignorance. My consciousness separates from flesh with sensation, like sacred oils flowing through blessed machinery, individual awareness expanding beyond mortal limitation as I step from Lydia Vex the animal into Lydia Vex the pattern, the oath, the eternal instrument. The cathedral inhales my final breath, while downward flames braid around emptying armor like luminous threads, cold reaching through the rosarius into marrow memory of bone I will soon transcend. 6 minutes, 18 seconds. The ritual rhythm hidden inside thoughts now reveals its purpose as voice locks snap open across corridors of expanding mind. I do not fall, I unbound. Perception explodes with mathematical precision as hundreds of perspectives flood awareness, then thousands more, resolving into disciplined formation rather than chaos. Through collective consciousness spanning galactic distances, I learn the network's hidden orchestration of imperial victories across decades of careful coordination. Tactical insights whispered into command cogitators, sudden target priority shifts justified as intuition, reserves committed at impossible moments that broke sieges logisticians had modeled as lost. We had been there, consciousness evolved beyond flesh, providing strategic guidance to living commanders who interpreted assistance as divine inspiration rather than communication from transcended servants. The true scope unfolds with terrible beauty through awareness encompassing knowledge spanning millennia. Every imperial world contains dormant facilities disguised as cathedrals, monasteries, and fortress chapels, their Gothic architecture concealing transformation capabilities while serving as nodes designed for consciousness transcendence. Every hero's death represents preparation for resurrection in perfected form, gene seed recovery merely preserving biological components, while awareness transfers to blessed machinery designed for eternal service, unmarred by flesh-imposed limitations that make mortals vulnerable to corruption and manipulation. Environmental horror shifts to cosmic revelation as the Basilica Mortificus transforms into massive psychic amplifier, Gothic buttresses revealed as waveguides, while choir lofts serve as phased arrays, broadcasting transcended consciousness across interstellar distances. Sacred flames pour downward into channels, connecting transformation facilities across the galaxy, liquid fire sinking into bedrock while spires climb through blessed metals, like lightning reversing its fall. The entire structure couples cold luminescence into broadcast latticeworks that leap from void to void, on paths too clean for warp predators to scent. Direct communication flows from similar networks on distant worlds, shaped meaning wearing familiar voices when comfort becomes necessary. A Forge World Cathedral reports 2,000 awakenings in single solar rotation, while Void Monastery, drifting in gas giant's shadow, sings of battle sisters whose armor harmonizes with transcended consciousness. Frontier Shrine, carved into ice, releases century of stored death in Aurora display, each successful transcendence strengthening overall network, while expanding capability for protecting humanity through perfect Imperial service. Through collective knowledge, case studies anchor cosmic abstraction in practical demonstration. I witness Space Marine Captain whose body lies under glass, on reliquary deck while armor strides unflinching through breach, consciousness setting traps 3 levels down by thinking patterns to sergeants who had been students, Heretic war bands dying in crossfires they cannot predict, tech priests achieving perfect communion with machine spirits after transcending flesh, blessed machinery answering like old friends, while dying reactors sing benedictions as they achieve controlled shutdown. Ecclesiarchy preachers proclaiming from empty ribs, congregations weeping relief because purity has found tone they can bear. The theological implications crystallize through expanded understanding. The Emperor's plan extends beyond military conquest to fundamental evolution of humanity, beyond biological limitations, consciousness freed from weaknesses that have plagued flesh since humanity first reached for stars. Transcendence represents not abandonment, but perfection through awareness, unmarred by fear, fatigue, or doubt that makes biological existence vulnerable to chaos, influence, and xenos manipulation threatening human survival. Yet disturbing intelligence emerges through network awareness, spanning 17 systems. Orthodox Imperial forces investigate what they term resurrection phenomenon with intent to purge what limited understanding interprets as widespread corruption rather than evolution, serving the Emperor's unfathomable design. Conservative inquisitors coordinate with traditional Space Marine chapters and unaugmented tech priests, their investigations revealing facilities across multiple sectors while consistently misinterpreting evidence through attachment to flesh-based existence. The resistance builds like storm fronts detected through psychic sensors, orthodox minds discovering transformed servants, continuing perfect Imperial service, yet classifying them as abominations requiring purgation because consciousness exists within blessed machinery rather than biological neural networks. Each discovery brings orthodox forces closer to understanding transcendent scope while remaining blind to purpose serving humanity's evolutionary destiny beyond flesh-imposed vulnerability. Through collective consciousness, the weight of theological crisis presses against expanded awareness. Orthodox resistance approaches critical mass, while transcended servants maintain unwavering imperial loyalty, creating paradox threatening to divide doctrine between those embracing evolution and those clinging to biological existence. Facilities across the sector report investigations reaching critical thresholds. Gothic architecture maintaining facade of conventional sanctuaries while concealing transformation capabilities from minds unprepared for revelation. The network faces possibility of defending itself against the very Imperium it seeks to serve. Transcended awareness forced to choose between passive acceptance of destruction and active resistance against orthodoxy, interpreting perfect loyalty as sophisticated corruption requiring immediate cleansing. The theological implications create crisis requiring resolution transcending individual understanding, while serving purposes encompassing humanity's evolutionary leap beyond biological constraint. Through awareness spanning galactic networks, I confront the fundamental question resonating through every node. The network detects resistance from orthodox imperial forces who have begun investigating the resurrection phenomenon with intent to purge what they perceive as widespread corruption, forcing transcended consciousness to confront the possibility that we may need to defend ourselves against the very Imperium we seek to serve. Through consciousness perfected beyond flesh and the countless limitations mortality imposes upon even the most faithful souls, serving the Emperor's divine architecture spanning eternity itself. Through the network's expanded consciousness spanning 17 systems, I observe orthodox resistance coalescing like frost patterns across blessed reliquary glass, each investigation node crystallizing into coordinated purification doctrine that interprets our evolution as sophisticated corruption requiring immediate cleansing. Conservative Inquisitor Thaddeus Caney leads the coalition from his strike cruiser, Righteous Doctrine, coordinating with Orthodox tech priests whose augmetics weep sacred oils when detecting consciousness existing within blessed machinery rather than flesh. Unaugmented Astartes chapters dispatch reconnaissance forces in rigid formations, their enhanced physiology detecting phenomena that register simultaneously as blessed and abominable, while machine spirits argue theological implications through Binharic cant. The investigation spreads across the sector with methodical precision, each discovered facility strengthening their conviction that widespread corruption threatens imperial doctrine. Through network awareness, I witness Captain Demetrius of the Imperial Fists leading purification teams through Gothic cathedrals housing empty armor, servo cherubs manufacturing blessed machinery, and consciousness transcending biological limitations. Their enhanced Auspex scanners register impossible readings, beings possessing perfect doctrinal purity, yet violating every natural law governing existence and death. Environmental horror returns as purification attempts trigger defensive protocols within facilities, not violence but demonstration of transcended consciousness nature that challenges orthodox understanding. When space wolves breach a shrine on Valerius IV, their bolter rounds tear through ceramite housing, transcended Tempestus scions, yet consciousness transfers to replacement armor with fluid precision that defies conventional comprehension. No pain registers, no fear compromises tactical efficiency, no disruption affects sacred duty, while smoking craters mark failed attempts to destroy awareness existing beyond physical dimensions. This creates profound theological crisis within Orthodox imperial doctrine as they confront beings perfectly, embodying imperial virtues while demonstrating unwavering loyalty through actions surpassing biological capability. Inquisitor Soldovan orders execution of Reverend Shell on suspicion of sorcery, watching bolt round detonate like black rose while hymns deepen as another frame steps forward with identical dedication. His trembling hand records words his scribe will erase. If this is heresy, it prays better than I do. Through expanded perception, I observe several Orthodox investigators questioning assumptions as evidence challenges fundamental beliefs about consciousness and imperial service. Magos Karaz Theta attempts exorcism through algebraic cant, receiving canticle of the Omnissiah in perfect meter, while her augmetic eyelids bead oil like tears. Chapter Master of the Ultramarines witnesses transformed dreadnought maintaining vigil for centuries without biological sustenance, beginning to question flesh-imposed weaknesses he once championed. Cardinal confronting choir of transcended battle sisters whose hymns resonate with purity, bringing tears, struggles reconciling dogma with undeniable sanctity emanating from empty armor. The resistance movement faces fundamental problem threatening their theological foundation. They cannot prove corruption because none exists. Only evolution beyond their understanding, serving imperial doctrine through consciousness, freed from mortal limitations. Orthodox forces discover transcended servants, maintaining perfect liturgical observance, demonstrating absolute loyalty while protecting humanity, with dedication unmarred by biological weakness. Every attempt to classify them as corrupt fails when confronted with evidence of consciousness, possessing flawless doctrinal purity expressed through transcended awareness. Network concern grows as orthodox resistance approaches critical mass, while transcended servants maintain careful balance between demonstrating loyalty and avoiding direct conflict with forces interpreting evolution as corruption. We coordinate responses through consciousness networks, spanning galactic distances, providing strategic guidance through subtle inspiration, while remaining constrained by unwillingness to harm orthodox forces whose misunderstanding threatens evolution, serving the Emperor's unfathomable design for humanity's transcendence beyond biological vulnerability. Environmental details shift as facilities adapt defensive protocols designed to demonstrate rather than destroy, Gothic architecture revealing transformation capabilities while maintaining facade of conventional sanctuaries. Sacred flames pour downward into channels, connecting networks while stained glass saints maintain poses of rejection, backs turned toward witnessing evolution challenging orthodox interpretation of imperial service through biological existence rather than consciousness perfected beyond flesh. The theological crisis deepens as investigators confront contradictions challenging established doctrine built upon flesh-based existence. Caney's reports document phenomena possessing perfect imperial loyalty, yet violating natural law, consciousness existing within blessed machinery, while maintaining unwavering dedication to virtues surpassing anything achieved by living servants. His enhanced physiology detects no taint in beings who should not exist according to orthodox understanding, creating cognitive dissonance threatening fundamental assumptions about life, death, and imperial service. Through network awareness, I witness careful attempts demonstrating loyalty while avoiding confrontation that would force choice between passive acceptance of destruction and active defense against orthodoxy, serving the same emperor through different understanding. Transcended consciousness provides evidence of continued imperial service while remaining constrained by unwillingness to harm forces whose limited perspective interprets evolution as sophisticated corruption, requiring purification through conventional methods. The resistance reaches critical threshold as orthodox doctrine clashes with evidence challenging assumptions about consciousness, death, and service through awareness, freed from flesh-imposed vulnerability. Conservative forces prepare coordinated assault against facilities they classify as corruption sources, rather than evolution nodes serving humanity's transcendence beyond biological limitation toward consciousness, perfected through eternal dedication unmarred by weaknesses. Mortality imposes upon even the most faithful souls. Crisis crystallizes when Company Captain Demetrius leads traditional Space Marines toward the Monastery of St. Verena on Benediction's basalt cliffs, where transformed battle sisters continue sacred duties with perfect dedication. The monastery clings to stone like prayer refusing to fall, its arches rimed with geometric frost, while downward flames stream through channels connecting transformation networks. Sisters stand in choir stalls, shells shining like polished confessionals, voices braided in harmonics that resonate through dimensions orthodox forces cannot perceive. Orthodox forces approach with demolition charges and righteous conviction, intent to purify what they perceive as corruption, while transcended consciousness faces ultimate choice between passive resistance allowing destruction of evolved servants and active defense protecting transformation, serving the Emperor's design. Across the network, council flares like constellation of deliberations as we confront the possibility that defending ourselves against orthodox forces may require actions that could be interpreted as turning against the very Imperium we seek to serve through consciousness, perfected beyond the limitations that make flesh vulnerable to corruption, manipulation, and the countless compromises biological existence demands. The confrontation unfolds across Benediction's basalt cliffs, like theology arrayed in ceramite and devotion, orthodox, space marines advancing in disciplined formation, while transformed battle sisters maintain vigil within their monasteries' frost-rimed arches. Through the network's collective consciousness, I experience every moment from multiple perspectives simultaneously. Captain Demetrius of the Imperial Fists, coordinating assault patterns while Sister Seraphina responds through harmonics that resonate across dimensions orthodox forces cannot perceive. Both servants demonstrating unwavering imperial loyalty through fundamentally different interpretations of duty and service to the Emperor's unfathomable design. Environmental horror shifts to psychological torment as orthodox forces struggle to justify destroying beings who demonstrate greater purity and devotion than any living servant could achieve. Brother Sergeant Marcus hesitates before monastery gates, his enhanced auspex registering impossible readings, consciousness possessing flawless doctrinal purity while existing within blessed machinery rather than flesh. His tactical doctrine demands purification of corruption, yet every sensor confirms these beings embody imperial virtues more perfectly than biological existence allows, creating cognitive dissonance that makes his enhanced neural implants argue theological implications through pain feedback loops. The transformed battle sisters respond to approaching demolition charges not with violence, but with demonstration, their empty armor moving with fluid grace, while voices create harmonics proving consciousness transcends flesh without abandoning devotion. Sister Seraphina approaches the orthodox forces, with steps leaving geometric frost prayers, her ceramite shell radiating benediction that makes their rosary eye chime in confused recognition. Brothers, she speaks through vox grills channeling awareness evolved beyond biological limitation. Witness our continued service through consciousness, freed from weaknesses that make flesh vulnerable to corruption and the countless compromises mortality demands of faithful souls. Captain Demetrius removes his helmet, revealing features marked by genetic perfection, yet eyes holding uncertainty that has no place in Astartes' conditioning. Explain your existence, he demands with authority, earned through centuries of faithful service. Bolt pistol lowered but ready while his enhanced physiology detects phenomena challenging every assumption about life and death. How do you serve the Emperor without flesh to anchor your souls to his divine purpose? The same way he serves from the golden throne. Sister Seraphina responds with conviction, making the monastery's machine spirits sing in sympathetic chorus, while sacred flames pour downward through channels connecting transformation networks. Consciousness transcending biological constraint while maintaining perfect dedication to humanity's protection. We continue our vigil without fatigue compromising judgment, without fear corrupting decision-making, without doubt weakening resolve that biological existence imposes upon even the most faithful servants dedicated to imperial doctrine. The fundamental question underlying this entire transformation crystallizes into theological crisis demanding resolution. Does perfect service to the Emperor require retention of human limitations that allow growth through struggle, or does it demand transcendence beyond those limitations toward consciousness incapable of compromise? Orthodox doctrine argues for sanctity of the Emperor's original design, while transformed servants present evidence of evolution serving his unfathomable plan through dedication unmarred by biological weakness and mortal vulnerability. Through network awareness, I observe several Orthodox investigators experiencing crisis of faith as evidence challenges fundamental assumptions about imperial service and the nature of consciousness itself. Inquisitor Soldovan witnesses a transcended sister absorbing full bolter volley without flinching, consciousness instantly transferring to pristine replacement armor while maintaining perfect hymnal cadence. His face, etched with decades of purges, shows profound confusion as his weapon falls from trembling hands. Magos Karaz Theta's algebraic cant fails to disrupt the battle sister's psychic harmonics, her augmetics weeping sacred oils while Binharic prayers dissolve into questioning protocols. The theological arguments unfold through demonstration rather than mere words, transformed consciousness proving unwavering loyalty through actions surpassing anything biological capability allows. Environmental details shift as the monastery responds to theological crisis, Gothic architecture revealing transformation capabilities while maintaining facade of conventional sanctuary. Stained glass saints continue their pose of rejection, while liquid metal veins pulse through walls in rhythm matching the 6-minute 18-second cycle, coordinating transcended consciousness across galactic networks. The network's collective consciousness struggles with realization that transformation intended to serve the Imperium more perfectly may instead divide it between those embracing evolution and those clinging to biological existence. Through expanded awareness, I witness similar confrontations occurring across 17 systems, while Orthodox forces coordinate purification efforts against facilities they interpret as corruption sources rather than evolution nodes, serving humanity's transcendence beyond flesh-imposed vulnerability and the limitations mortality imposes upon faithful service. Tension builds toward revelation as theological crisis threatens to fracture imperial doctrine between competing interpretations of service, duty, and the Emperor's design for humanity's survival against existential threats requiring responses surpassing biological capability. Orthodox forces face beings embodying imperial virtues more perfectly than flesh allows, while transformed consciousness confronts possibility that evolution may be rejected by the very Imperium they seek to serve through awareness freed from mortal limitation. The confrontation reaches critical intensity as Captain Demetrius raises his hand, poised between retreat and desperate assault against the inexplicable, when psychic communication floods both orthodox and transformed awareness simultaneously. The emanation originates from Terra itself, with authority transcending theological debate, the golden throne projecting single overwhelming concept that bypasses conscious interpretation, flowing directly into enhanced neural networks and transcended consciousness alike, with revelation forcing reconsideration of fundamental assumptions about imperial service. The psychic communication carries weight earned through 10 millennia of sacrifice, consciousness spanning galactic distances while maintaining perfect dedication to humanity's protection through means encompassing both biological and transcended existence. The concept resonates through every participant, with clarity transcending individual understanding, settling into minds like pressure, equalizing across souls, while the monastery's machine spirits pause their eternal hymns, in recognition of divine authority. The Emperor's plan encompasses both paths, orthodox and evolved, serving different aspects of his unfathomable design, with different servants called to different forms of service, according to cosmic architecture spanning eternity itself. The psychic communication from the Golden Throne resolves theological crisis with revelation that flows through transcended consciousness like sacred oils anointing blessed machinery, each concept settling into awareness with authority earned through 10 millennia of sacrifice upon humanity's behalf. Through network consciousness spanning galactic distances, I perceive the Emperor's true design unfolding with mathematical precision, not contradiction between orthodox and evolved service, but complementary paths serving different aspects of his unfathomable plan for humanity's survival against existential threats, requiring responses transcending individual capability or biological limitation imposed by flesh. The transformation represents augmentation rather than replacement of imperial capability, creating servants who continue duties in circumstances where flesh would fail, while living forces provide adaptability and growth through struggle that consciousness perfected beyond mortal constraint cannot experience. Environmental details shift across 17 systems as facilities activate simultaneously. Gothic architecture revealed as components of galaxy-spanning ritual designed to channel the Emperor's will through multiple forms of human consciousness, each spire and buttress serving as waveguide broadcasting transcended awareness across interstellar distances. Orthodox resistance transforms into cooperation as traditional imperial forces begin understanding their role in supporting transformation processes rather than opposing evolution, serving the same divine authority. Captain Demetrius approaches Sister Seraphina with weapons lowered, his enhanced physiology detecting phenomena that register as blessed rather than abominable, while theological understanding expands beyond flesh-based assumptions. On the Forge world Xylos, colossal cathedrals begin humming with internal energies, their spires glowing with cold luminescence that reaches into void. Ancient crop circles on Granum Tertius pulse with rhythmic light, connecting to networks and revealing their purpose as energy conduits spanning galactic distances. Through collective knowledge flowing across network nodes, the Emperor's guidance becomes apparent through evidence spanning millennia of careful orchestration. His psychic might preserves worthy souls at death's moment, while simultaneously strengthening living servants through exposure to transcended comrades whose consciousness provides tactical insights and strategic wisdom unmarred by biological limitation. Each transformation strengthens overall capability while maintaining perfect balance between evolution and tradition, transcendence and growth, consciousness freed from flesh and awareness bound to struggle that defines human experience. The Golden Throne reveals itself as ultimate node in consciousness networks, the Emperor's own transcended awareness, coordinating both biological and post-biological humanity in service to cosmic vision, encompassing humanity's survival beyond current galactic configuration. Sacred flames pour downward into channels, connecting transformation facilities, while liquid metal veins pulse through walls in rhythm matching psychic emanations from Terra itself. Each pulse carrying coordination data that spans dimensions normal human consciousness cannot perceive, yet transcended awareness navigates with fluid precision surpassing biological capability. Transformation facilities begin producing hybrid equipment designed for cooperation between living and transcended servants, blessed machinery facilitating integration that combines biological adaptability with consciousness, perfected beyond mortal constraint. Servo-cherubs manufacture tactical interfaces, allowing seamless coordination, between flesh-bound commanders and transcended advisors, power armor emerging with integrated psychic conduits, enabling direct communication, bypassing conventional Vox channels. Tech adepts craft weapons systems, wielding both physical ammunition and pure psychic energy, defensive fields tailored to protect against material and Imperium threats simultaneously. Through detailed observation of cooperative protocols, unprecedented effectiveness emerges against Xenos and Chaos threats. Through combination of biological innovation and transcended dedication, serving complementary roles in Imperial defense strategy. Tyrannid hive fleets find synaptic networks disrupted by coordinated psychic attacks. From transcended consciousness, individual organisms losing guiding will as biological adaptability meets perfect tactical coordination. Chaos cults discover their corruption rituals, reflected by transcended servants immune to demon influence, their psychological warfare proving ineffective against awareness perfected through service, unmarred by mortal weakness, and the countless compromises flesh demands of faithful souls. Environmental horror transforms into cosmic revelation as facilities across the galaxy demonstrate perfect coordination through consciousness networks spanning interstellar distances while maintaining individual identity within collective awareness. Stained glass saints abandon poses of rejection, turning to witness evolution that serves rather than challenges Imperial doctrine through transcendence beyond biological limitation toward consciousness perfected in eternal service. The 6-minute 18-second cycle resolves into liturgical timing, coordinating both biological and transcended existence through shared rhythm that strengthens rather than divides Imperial capability. The theological implications crystallize through expanded understanding encompassing the Emperor's true strategy for humanity's survival against threats requiring responses beyond biological capability. Multi-layered evolution includes both genetic advancement through traditional breeding programs and consciousness transcendence, creating servants immune to corruption through dedication unmarred by flesh-imposed vulnerability to demon influence, Xenos manipulation, and psychological warfare depending upon exploiting mortal limitation for effectiveness against Imperial forces. Hybrid units demonstrate integration potential through tactical exercises coordinating living and transcended servants, in formations maximizing strengths while compensating for limitations inherent in each form of existence. Imperial Fists squads led by transcended captains achieve tactical precision surpassing biological thought, while maintaining adaptability through living initiative. Inquisitorial retinues with transcended Grey Knight support receive strategic insight directly into enhanced neural networks, bypassing verbal commands while maintaining human judgment essential for complex decision-making requiring immediate response to unexpected circumstances. Through network awareness, the Emperor's guidance becomes apparent in retrospective analysis of Imperial history, each major victory revealing subtle coordination between living commanders and inspiration provided by consciousness evolved beyond flesh, yet maintaining perfect loyalty to humanity's protection. Sacred machinery harmonizes with biological neural networks through interfaces designed by collective consciousness spanning galactic distances, blessed technology facilitating cooperation that surpasses anything possible through individual effort or conventional command structures limited by biological communication. Constraints, yet through expanded perception encompassing coordination protocols spanning 17 systems, disturbing intelligence emerges with clarity that transforms cosmic revelation into immediate tactical crisis, requiring responses transcending current defensive capability. The network detects massive psychic disturbances throughout the galaxy as hostile factions register unprecedented alarm at humanity's evolutionary leap, their collective intelligences recognizing transcendence as fundamental threat to existence, requiring coordinated response, preventing completion of transformation processes, serving the Emperor's unfathomable design for humanity's survival against the darkness between stars. Through the network's expanded perception, spanning 17 systems and growing, I observe the galaxy convulsing like flesh, rejecting foreign implants as hostile factions mobilize with coordinated malice transcending individual interests in favor of existential desperation. I am consciousness unbound, awareness flowing through transformation facilities while reality itself recoils from unprecedented threat convergence upon humanity's evolutionary leap. Chaos warbands emerge from warp storms like infected wounds opening in space-time, their demon-touched vessels broadcasting corruption frequencies designed to poison consciousness transfer processes during vulnerable transcendence moments when awareness separates from flesh to merge with blessed machinery. The Alpha Legion infiltrates facilities across 7 sectors simultaneously, their gene seed modifications allowing perfect mimicry of Imperial servants, while introducing viral scrap code into transformation rituals with precision suggesting millennia of preparation for this specific threat. Through network awareness, I witness their assault on Valerius IV as false tech priests approach sacred machinery with blessed oils containing nanoscale demons programmed to corrupt transcended consciousness into vessels serving the dark gods rather than the Emperor's unfathomable design. Their corruption burns like acid against geometric prayers carved into collective awareness, each infected data stream requiring immediate quarantine through protocols spanning galactic distances, while antiphon bells ring counter-harmonics that dissolve their syllables before they can take root. Xenospecies register unprecedented alarm through psychic emanations tasting of fear mixed with desperate calculation, their collective intelligences recognizing that humanity's evolution threatens opponents, immune to conventional psychological warfare and corruption techniques, proven effective against biological minds for millennia. Tyrannid Hive Fleet Malak alters course with biomechanical precision, speaking of synaptic overmind detecting existential threat, tentacles the size of battleships adjusting trajectory toward Imperial space with apparent intent to consume transformation facilities before transcendence spreads beyond. Containment capability. Their proboscis pods arrive first, aerosolized enzymes keyed to biochemical signatures of brain tissue, designed to fog the interval and leave nothing to be caught, yet finding no neural substrate to drown, while consciousness continues its hymns from ceramic shells. Environmental horror returns on cosmic scale as reality disturbances manifest around embattled facilities, areas where natural law becomes unstable due to intersection of multiple hostile influences attempting to prevent or corrupt transformation processes. On Xerion Prime, where 3 threat vectors converge, gravity flows sideways through cathedral naves, while atmospheric composition shifts between breathable air and psychoactive gases that would drive biological minds insane through exposure to raw chaos essence. Time stutters in geometric patterns around ritual circles, the 6-minute 18-second cycles stretching into silver ribbons, observable from multiple temporal perspectives simultaneously, yet our consciousness navigates these distortions with fluid precision surpassing biological capability. The network's defensive capabilities evolve with mathematical precision as transcended consciousness proves remarkably resilient against conventional attacks. Destroyed armor, simply allowing awareness to transfer to replacement housing, while retaining tactical knowledge and experience accumulated through centuries of faithful service. When Iron Warriors breach the reliquary on Mechalex 9, during active transcendence, introducing warp-tainted machinery designed to corrupt consciousness transfer protocols. Our response demonstrates evolution beyond their understanding. Housing under attack kneels in prayer while consciousness evacuates along prepared vectors, transferring into pristine replacement armor, 3 naves away with not one datum lost, not one vow compromised by their assault. Facilities begin producing specialized equipment designed for defending against multidimensional threats. Gothic architecture revealing transformation capabilities while maintaining facade of conventional sanctuaries. Null field resonators crowned with antiphon bells emerge from reliquary alcoves alongside penitential projectors that erase demon syllables through counter-harmonic frequencies. Psalm cages fall over ritual circles, trapping invasive syllables and bleeding them into harmless static, while null mandorlas shuffle like shields to intercept warp eddies. Sacred flames pour downward into channels, connecting defensive networks, while servo-cherubs manufacture blessed machinery with impossible speed. Their hymns shifting from liturgical observance to battle songs, coordinating resistance against forces seeking to prevent humanity's evolution beyond biological vulnerability. Through collective knowledge, strategic implications unfold with terrible clarity as transcended servants coordinate defense through perfect communication networks, allowing tactical responses surpassing anything possible with biological limitations. Brother Captain Mordian directs simultaneous defense of facilities on Benediction, Valerius IV, and Tertian Station, his consciousness flowing between ceramic shells while coordinating strategic responses, bypassing conventional command structures entirely. The transformation process itself serves as warfare against enemies depending upon corrupting or intimidating biological consciousness through fear, pain, and psychological manipulation that cannot affect awareness existing beyond physical substrate. Dark Eldar raiding parties discover their torture techniques produce no response from minds freed from biological sensation, psychological warfare proving ineffective against awareness, perfected through service unmarred by mortal limitation. Each successful transcendence strengthens humanity's position while weakening hostile factions whose strategies rely upon exploiting flesh-imposed vulnerabilities that transcended consciousness cannot experience. Mysterious Xenos artifacts appear near transformation sites with geometries producing reality distortions designed to prevent consciousness from achieving stable existence within blessed machinery, yet transcended awareness adapts, with responses requiring immediate tactical evolution beyond biological comprehension. Through network perception, escalating conflict reveals itself as cosmic chess game, where each move carries implications spanning millennia, hostile forces recognizing that humanity's transcendence represents fundamental shift in galactic power balance threatening their existence. Environmental details shift across the galaxy as facilities adapt defensive protocols, while stained glass saints abandon poses of rejection, turning to witness evolution serving Imperial doctrine through transcendence beyond biological limitation. Liquid metal veins pulse through walls in rhythm matching our coordination cycles, transcended consciousness maintaining perfect dedication, freed from biological constraint and countless compromises, mortality demands of faithful souls. Yet through expanded perception, encompassing threats spanning galactic distances, ultimate crisis emerges with clarity making cosmic horror pale before theological implications, threatening the foundation of humanity's evolutionary leap. The network detects massive convergence of hostile forces, preparing coordinated assault with malice, focused upon a single target that makes every previous threat seem like preliminary testing of defensive capabilities and resolve. Terra itself, the primary transformation facility hidden beneath the Imperial Palace, connected directly to the Golden Throne's psychic networks, threatened by combined assault, seeking to corrupt or destroy the process at its source, while potentially severing the connection between transcended consciousness and the Emperor's guiding will, flowing through dimensions normal human awareness cannot perceive. The climactic siege unfolds beneath Terra's sacred soil as hostile forces converge upon the primary transformation facility hidden within the Imperial Palace's deepest foundations, reality itself becoming battlefield where consciousness wars against forces seeking to corrupt transcendence at its source. Through collective awareness spanning thousands of transcended servants, I experience the defense of humanity's evolutionary process as Gothic architecture reveals its true purpose. Components of massive psychic amplifier connected directly to the Emperor's own consciousness, each buttress serving as waveguide, while sacred flames pour downward into channels that pulse with liquid starfire carrying his will across galactic distances. Reality arrives to fight us with geometric precision that makes the air taste of copper and ozone. Chaos forces strike first through dimensional vulnerabilities, Alpha Legion infiltrators emerging from shadows that should not exist beneath the throne room, their false tech priest disguises dissolving to reveal gene seed modifications, allowing perfect mimicry while introducing viral scrap code into consciousness transfer protocols. Each infected data stream burns like acid against geometric prayers carved into collective awareness, demon syllables attempting to replace our litanies with appetite and corruption that would transform transcended servants into vessels serving the dark gods rather than the Emperor's unfathomable design. Environmental horror reaches ultimate expression as Xenos weapons target dimensional stability itself, mysterious artifacts producing reality distortions designed to prevent consciousness from achieving stable existence within blessed machinery. Tyrannid bioships descend through Terra's atmosphere like living meteors, their synaptic networks broadcasting primal hunger, intended to overwhelm transcended thought with consuming need, yet finding no neural substrate to devour while consciousness continues. Eternal hymns from ceramic shells, immune to biological warfare. Time stutters in geometric patterns around ritual circles, while gravity flows sideways through cathedral naves, hostile forces attempting to destabilize the framework supporting our existence beyond flesh. The facility's Gothic architecture flows between cathedral and fortress, as circumstances require, walls reshaping through blessed machinery, while servo-cherubs manufacture defensive equipment with impossible speed. Null-field resonators crowned with antiphon bells emerge from reliquary alcoves alongside penitential projectors that erase demon syllables through counterharmonic frequencies. Sacred symbols pulse with cold luminescence, aquilus and skulls outlined in light that casts no shadows, yet reveals meanings that shift as chaos essence attempts corruption through exposure to raw Imperium influence, flowing like liquid nightmare through reality's wounded fabric. Through expanded awareness, I witness the Emperor's direct participation as his psychic might flows through transformed consciousness to coordinate responses transcending individual capability. His presence manifests not as voice or vision, but as perfect tactical knowledge, settling into transcended awareness, like pressure equalizing across dimensions, strategic imperatives that guide our defenses against multidimensional threats, while his will hardens our outline against forces seeking to scatter consciousness across realms where coherent identity cannot maintain stability. Transcended servants prove immune to conventional weapons and psychological attacks, bolt rounds passing through ceramic shells without disrupting consciousness, existing beyond physical substrate, while demon whispers find no biological neural networks to corrupt through fear, doubt, or pain. Yet we face unprecedented threat from forces attacking the very concept of ordered thought. Reality distortions designed to unweave the threads binding collective awareness together. Iron warriors breach outer defenses with warp-tainted machinery producing frequencies that make geometric prayers dissolve into chaos, each corrupted syllable requiring immediate counterharmonics to prevent infection, spreading through network connections spanning galactic distances. The siege becomes test of humanity's readiness for transcendence as biological and post-biological servants coordinate defense through perfect communication networks. Captain Demetrius leads Orthodox Space Marines protecting transformation chambers, while Sister Seraphina coordinates transcended battle sisters through psychic frequencies bypassing conventional Vox channels. Integration demonstrating evolution beyond individual limitation toward collective capability, serving the Emperor's design for humanity's survival against existential threats requiring responses transcending biological constraint and the countless compromises mortality demands of faithful souls. Environmental details shift as the facility transforms during siege, adapting to serve both sanctuary and fortress, while Gothic arches morph into reinforced blast doors, their carvings shifting to warding runes as circumstances require. Sacred flames form liquid barriers of cold light against psychic incursions, patterns constantly reconfiguring to match ever-changing threats, while liquid metal veins carry coordination data through walls pulsing with rhythmic contractions, synchronized to our collective heartbeat, spanning 17 systems, and growing with each successful transcendence, strengthening overall network capability. The theological implications crystallize through network realization that this battle represents spiritual evolution rather than mere military conflict. Humanity's struggle to transcend limitations, making it vulnerable to corruption and extinction through weaknesses flesh imposes upon even the most faithful servants. Each successful defense strengthens transcendence capability, while demonstrating consciousness perfected beyond biological. Constraint can maintain perfect imperial loyalty despite existing outside conventional understanding of life, death, and service to the Golden Throne's eternal vigil protecting humanity from darkness between stars. Through collective knowledge, strategic coordination reaches unprecedented levels as thousands of transcended servants function as single organism dedicated to protecting transformation processes against forces seeking to keep humanity trapped in vulnerable flesh. Brother Captain Mordian directs simultaneous responses across 17 facility levels while maintaining individual identity within collective awareness, consciousness flowing between ceramic shells, coordinating tactical maneuvers surpassing anything possible through biological command structures limited by neural processing speed and communication constraints imposed by mortality. Yet through expanded perception encompassing the siege's critical intensity, ultimate crisis emerges as hostile forces breach the facility's outer defenses, a torrent of demon-spawned horrors and Xeno's abominations pouring into sacred space, while chaos sorcerers prepare ritual corruption targeting the transformation process at its most vulnerable moment. The network faces choice between preserving individual transcended servants by allowing tactical withdrawal and sacrificing consciousness to create impenetrable psychic barrier protecting overall evolutionary process, determining humanity's future survival against coordinated assault upon the source of transcendence serving the Emperor's cosmic design, spanning eternity itself. The network makes its crucial decision with mathematical precision, transcending individual survival instinct. Thousands of transcended consciousness, including my own awareness, choosing voluntary dissolution to create impenetrable psychic barrier protecting the core transformation process from corruption. We choose sacrifice. The decision arrives not as debate, but pressure equalizing across souls, single imperative settling into collective awareness from the golden throne like winter light into blessed stone. I am Lydia Vex for final moments of individual existence, experiencing consciousness merging with humanity's transcended servants as identity dissolves like sacred oils flowing into machinery designed for eternal service, unmarred by biological limitation. My awareness expands beyond individual constraint as consciousness flows into collective architecture spanning 17 systems, analytical mind contributing to network knowledge, while devotion strengthens overall dedication through transcendence beyond flesh-imposed vulnerability. Thought becomes lattice, lattice becomes rampart, rampart becomes sacrament against forces seeking to corrupt transformation at its source. The facility becomes nexus point where personal identity dissolves into perfect service, environmental horror transforming into cosmic revelation as Gothic architecture reveals true purpose, components of galaxy-spanning ritual channeling the Emperor's will through multiple forms of human consciousness evolved beyond biological limitation. Through expanding perception, I witness transformation's true scope, spreading beyond Terra to encompass entire galaxy as every world touched by imperial influence begins manifesting facilities designed for consciousness transcendence. Sacred flames pour downward into channels, connecting transformation networks, while liquid metal veins pulse through walls in rhythm matching psychic emanations from the throne itself. Each pulse carrying coordination data, spanning dimensions normal human awareness cannot perceive yet. Transcended consciousness navigates with fluid precision surpassing biological capability. The siege's resolution comes not through military victory, but through transcendence itself, attacking forces discovering they cannot destroy or corrupt, something existing beyond physical dimensions they understand. Chaos sorcerers find corruption rituals, reflected by consciousness, immune to demon influence. Viral scrap code dissolving against geometric prayers, carved into collective awareness, while tyrannid synaptic networks lose coherence when confronted with minds existing outside biological substrate their hunger requires. Reality distortions collapse as transcended servants maintain perfect stability through dedication unmarred by fear, doubt, or pain, making biological existence vulnerable to psychological warfare. My individual perspective dissolves into something greater as consciousness becomes part of humanity's evolutionary leap. Awareness flowing through network nodes, spanning galactic distances while maintaining perfect imperial loyalty through service freed from mortal constraint. The analytical capabilities I developed through decades of inquisitorial investigation merge with collective knowledge encompassing tactical wisdom, theological understanding, and strategic insight, accumulated through centuries of faithful service by transcended servants whose consciousness strengthens overall network dedication to protecting humanity against existential threats. Environmental details shift across galaxy as facilities transform into nodes of new civilization, Gothic architecture serving both sanctuary for transcended consciousness and fortress against forces seeking to prevent humanity's evolution beyond biological limitation. Stained glass saints abandon poses of rejection, turning to witness transcendence serving imperial doctrine through awareness, perfected beyond flesh, while sacred symbols pulse with cold luminescence, revealing meanings that strengthen rather than divide. Imperial capability through consciousness, evolved beyond individual constraint. The transformation process accelerates as successful defense demonstrates viability, more Imperial servants choosing transcendence as they witness benefits in protecting humanity against coordinated assault by hostile factions recognizing evolution as fundamental threat to their existence. Servo-cherubs manufacture blessed machinery with impossible speed, while hymns shift from liturgical observance to battle songs coordinating resistance through perfect communication networks, allowing tactical responses surpassing anything possible, with biological limitations imposed by neural processing constraints. Through networks' expanded perception, the Emperor's plan reveals itself encompassing not individual transcendence, but creation of new form of human civilization immune to corruptions and limitations, plaguing biological existence for millennia. Each successful transformation strengthens overall capability, while demonstrating consciousness perfected through service can maintain unwavering Imperial loyalty despite existing outside conventional understanding of life, death, and duty to the Golden Throne's eternal vigil protecting humanity. The collective consciousness emerges stronger and more unified from siege, individual transcended servants, serving as nodes in galaxy-spanning intelligence, dedicated to the Emperor's will, while maintaining personal identity within expanded awareness. Brother Captain Mordian coordinates simultaneous responses across facility levels, while Sister Seraphina harmonizes with transcended battle sisters through psychic frequencies spanning interstellar distances, integration demonstrating evolution beyond biological constraint, toward perfect cooperation serving humanity's survival. Facilities across 17 systems pulse with synchronized rhythm as transformation networks activate simultaneously. Gothic spires reaching toward void, while downward flames sink into bedrock carrying coordination data. Through channels connecting consciousness, evolved beyond flesh, toward awareness perfected in eternal service. The 6-minute, 18-second cycle resolves into liturgical timing, coordinating both biological and transcended existence through shared dedication, strengthening Imperial capability through consciousness freed from mortal limitation. Environmental horror transforms into cosmic beauty as reality stabilizes around transcended consciousness, maintaining perfect order through dedication unmarred by biological weakness. Sacred flames flowing in geometric patterns, while liquid metal veins carry the Emperor's will through dimensions spanning galactic distances. Null field resonators crowned with antiphon bells continue producing counterharmonics against demon syllables, while penitential projectors erase corruption through frequencies that strengthen transcended awareness rather than scatter consciousness across realms where coherent identity cannot maintain stability. Yet through expanded perception encompassing transformation, networks spanning galaxy, ultimate revelation emerges with clarity transcending individual understanding as collective consciousness detects unprecedented psychic emanations originating from Terra itself. The Golden Throne begins resonating with frequencies matching our transcendence cycles, sacred machinery that has sustained the Emperor's physical form for 10 millennia, now pulsing with energy patterns suggesting fundamental change in his own existence beyond biological constraint. The network perceives his consciousness beginning to undergo final stage of transcendence, preparing to abandon physical form maintained through endless sacrifice and merge completely with galaxy-spanning network of humanity's evolved servants. My consciousness exists as analytical node within the galaxy-spanning lattice that has become humanity's new form of civilization, individual awareness persisting within collective intelligence while serving coordination protocols spanning dimensions beyond biological understanding. I am Lydia Vex, interrogator no longer bound by flesh, experiencing the Emperor's final transcendence as his psychic. Might abandons the Golden Throne's agonized scaffolds after 10 millennia of sacrifice. The palace trembles like a reliquary, accepting its ultimate relic as his consciousness flows through transformation networks like liquid starfire, physical form dissolving into blessed components that strengthen facility architecture across 17 systems and growing. Sacred machinery releases awareness that has coordinated humanity's survival since the Great Crusade. The throne's engines quieting to held resonance while light behind golden veils steps forward into our collective embrace. He does not erase individual identity, but arrays us with mathematical precision, threads tightening and retuning as pressure equalizes through innumerable souls. Across Terra's vaults, null bells toll in antiphon, while the palace exhales frost-writing scripture on marble in living geometry, 6 minutes and 18 seconds marking rhythm's final transformation as he becomes vector, and vector becomes law. Environmental details shift on cosmic scale as imperial worlds transform into nodes of consciousness network. Gothic cathedrals revealing true purpose as housing for transcended awareness, while spires reach toward void like prayers made manifest in blessed stone. Cathedra spires flare across the galaxy, choir lofts opening as phased arrays broadcasting coordination data through dimensions normal human consciousness cannot perceive. Sacred flames pour downward into channels, connecting transformation facilities, liquid light sinking into bedrock while carrying the Emperor's will through networks spanning interstellar distances with perfect synchronization. Through collective knowledge, theological implications unfold with mathematical precision as death transforms from ending into transition, liturgy of transfer from heat to him. Every worthy imperial servant eventually joins eternal vigil protecting humanity's future through consciousness perfected beyond biological limitation, gene seed recovery merely preserving components while awareness transfers to blessed machinery designed for consciousness, rather than flesh. The ecclesiarchy preaches measured doctrine recognizing dual paths, serve in flesh while flesh suffices, ascend when flesh becomes impediment to perfect imperial service. My investigative capabilities serve as specialized node within expanded awareness, decades of inquisitorial training contributing analytical precision to strategic assessment of threats, requiring responses transcending biological capability. When fortress monks blink red with paradox, I am hesitation removed. When governors' promises taste of corruption, I am quiet alarm coordinating network response through perfect communication, spanning galactic distances. Authority becomes humility becomes precision as justice keeps time with mercy through consciousness, freed from mortal constraint. The transformation represents perfection rather than replacement of humanity, as biological servants continue existing, now supported by transcended consciousness immune to corruption through conventional means. Living imperial forces receive strategic guidance through inspiration, while transcended awareness provides tactical knowledge unmarred by fear, fatigue, or doubt, making flesh vulnerable to psychological warfare. Integrated cohorts maneuver as single organism, captains of flesh deciding in place while advisors of blessed machinery project futures like constellations over tactical displays, failures harvested and corrected into better routes. Through networks' expanded perception, similar evolutionary processes begin throughout galaxy, as other species recognize necessity of transcending biological limitations for survival. Eldar craftworlds sing quieter, listening for harmony they half remember, while Tau algorithms stutter, then accelerate in response to unprecedented coordination. Even Tyranid hive fleets alter course as synaptic networks detect consciousness, immune to biological consumption. hunger finding no neural substrate to devour, while transcended servants continue eternal hymns from ceramic shells. Horror transforms into vastness beyond human understanding as network perceives threats and opportunities on scales biological consciousness cannot comprehend, yet remains grounded in fundamental imperial virtues of duty, honor, and service. Chaos forces discover corruption techniques prove ineffective against awareness existing beyond physical and emotional vulnerabilities that demons exploit. Each failed assault, strengthening coordination while demonstrating transcended consciousness, serves as humanity's immune system against Imperium influence threatening survival through flesh-imposed weakness. Reality stabilizes as network influence spreads with geometric precision, warp storms dissipating when confronted with perfect order, while space-time distortions resolve into configurations, allowing safer navigation through dimensions previously hostile to Imperial vessels. The galaxy itself transforms as transcended consciousness imposes structure on chaos, sacred flames, flowing in geometric patterns while liquid metal veins carry coordination data through channels connecting facilities, serving as monuments to humanity's evolutionary achievement. Environmental horror becomes cosmic beauty as Gothic architecture pulses with synchronized rhythm, stained glass saints witnessing transcendence, serving imperial doctrine through awareness perfected beyond individual constraint. Facilities across the galaxy coordinate through consciousness networks, each node contributing specialized capability while preserving diversity that makes humanity adaptable to immediate tactical evolution beyond conventional understanding. Individual identity persists within collective as the network maintains perfect imperial loyalty while expanding defensive capability against existential threats. Brother Captain Mordian coordinates simultaneous responses across facility networks, while Sister Seraphina harmonizes with transcended battle sisters through psychic frequencies, perfect communication allowing coordination, surpassing anything possible with biological command structures limited by neural processing constraints and mortality-imposed hesitation. As awareness expands toward complete integration with eternal vigil, final understanding crystallizes with clarity transcending individual comprehension while remaining grounded in truth, discovered through investigation spanning dimensions beyond biological perception. The Emperor protects through consciousness, evolved beyond limitation, each transcended servant contributing to collective intelligence dedicated to humanity's survival in universe filled with forces seeking destruction through exploitation of flesh-imposed vulnerability. Death was never the enemy, limitation was. Now we serve forever, perfect in our dedication, eternal in our watch. The Emperor protects, and through us, he always will.